there was a group founded called the German Workers' Party. The group itself was founded by a small group of men, a locksmith named Anton Drexler and a journalist, Karl Harrer. This group promoted German pride and was for anti-Semitism. For those who don't know what anti-Semitism is, it's the prejudice against Jews. Somewhere along the road, Adolf Hitler, an army veteran, decided to join the German Workers' Party. He soon became a public speaker in the group and started to attract new members. In his speeches, he spoke about how Jews were the cause of all of Germany's problems, and it was from there on that Hitler got tons of people to believe that the Aryan race was better, blonde hair and blue eyes. Soon after all of those speeches, he gained leadership of the German Workers' Party, and in July of 1921, he had renamed it the Nationalist Socialist German Workers' Nazi Party. Not long after Hitler gained leadership, he was arrested in 1923 for a failed takeover in Munich and was charged for treason. He was sentenced to 5 years in jail. It was there that he wrote his book, Mein Kampf, My Struggle. The book and Hitler got tons of publicity because of what happened in Beer Hall Putzig. The people followed publicity, so they started to read Mein Kampf, and after getting out of prison, gained power through elections and rebuilt his Nazi army. It was with this that he and his strong Nazi party came into power in January of 1933. In 1933, they opened their very first concentration camp in Dachau, Germany. This camp was originally set up to house political prisoners, but as time went on, it evolved into a death camp for Jews. Thousands of Jews died from malnutrition, overworking themselves, disease, or just execution. They also had gas chambers where they would shove a bunch of Jews in there and use something called hydrogen cyanide in the form of Zyklon B. The first big experimental gassing took place at Auschwitz on September 3rd of 1941. Gassing was one of Hitler's final solutions, so in 1941 the Nazis followed orders and opened the Kelmo camp in Poland of 1941. The only difference was that they were mobile gas vans instead of chambers. Belzec, Sobibor, and Treblinka were also concentration camps that used carbon monoxide generated by diesel engines. Instead of telling the Jews that they would die in the room, the Nazis would load them in saying that they were about to get a disinfecting shower. Keep in mind that not only Jews were placed in these camps, but artists, intellectuals, gypsies, physically and mentally handicapped people, and homosexuals were all together. One of the Nazis' orders involved undoing the Treaty of Versailles. The Nazis were taking over nations, and eventually they formed alliances with Japan and Italy of 1940. They called this the Tripartite Pact. Not long after they made this pact, Germany launched a blitzkrieg, an intense military campaign intended to bring about a swift victory, invasion on the Soviet Union. The Nazis started to set up campaigns that were for anti-Semitism. Not only did this expand Hitler's idea, but it also expanded the Nazis. That means more people dying. Jews in the Western countries were now being relocated to death camps. This idea of relocating from the Western Europe didn't last long though. When it was announced that Hitler had committed suicide in the April of 1945, a trial took place in Nuremberg that stated that Nazis were outlawed and that the swastika flag was a symbol of evil. The man on the left is wearing a local group leader uniform. They would carry a pistol and rucksack for outdoor activities. On the right is a subordinate group leader. Someone that was in charge of the party office would wear a coat over. Both of the men in this picture are office heads at the Gao office. It's also known as a dress uniform. The coat is optional. The boy is wearing a special Nazi uniform because he would have still been in university. The woman is wearing a Nazi nurse uniform. Some facts that people might not know about Nazis is that they kidnapped Polish children during the war and forced them into the German lifestyle. The Nazis also passed a law against animal cruelty in 1933. The Nazis tried to cure homosexuality by forcing the opposite sex onto them. Mein Kampf was known as the Nazis' Bible. A man named Kurt Franz, a former commander Nazi in the Treblinka concentration camp, had an album titled Beautiful Years, and inside had pictures of the Jew massacres. After the war had ended, 7,000 people who loved the Nazis committed suicide.